Yeah, g'day YouTubers, Tinker O'Toole again here with another video. We brought this workshop sharpener. It's called Precision Adjust, and it's the cheapest in the range, but you can buy extra stones for it. This particular unit has 2 stones and a ceramic stone. It's got 300 grit, 600 grit, and a ceramic stone. You can even buy leather strops for them. There's aftermarket ones for them. This one's made out of plastic, which is fine. You can get one, the more expensive ones made out of aluminium. Very little movement in them. They're put together quite well. Now, I done a video the other day where we had a knife that was razor sharp and it could cut paper. So what we're going to do with that is we'll get that knife and we'll just show you how it slices through paper, and we're going to set this up and we're going to see if we can make it any sharper using this unit. So I know how long it takes to get a knife razor sharp using whetstones and coarse stones as well, so it takes quite a while. Then you've got to use a strop. Now, there is no leather strop in here, but that doesn't matter because I've got my own leather strop, and you can buy aftermarket ones, and that's a good option because they're aftermarket ones. It's just a bit of leather, so it's not that difficult to make. Okay, so we'll unbox the unit. This unit in Australia is around about $130. I know overseas, because of the price differential, it's a bit cheaper. You know, at least one thing, they give you instructions which aren't too bad. So that's too good. So, okay, the first thing that you pull out of the box is the arm. You'll notice it's got 320 grit that side. Now this rotates around, that's a ceramic stone. And then you've got the 600 stone here. So you can get different stones. You can buy this whole mechanism. You can get it in a strop, or you can replace these individually. There are aftermarket ones as well. Okay, so the next thing we get out is the base. Pretty simple. The base clips under there, and that's a locking tab there, so that's the base. The next part, and it's made out of good solid plastic, there's quite a little bit of weight there, is this unit here. The little vice grip moves in there. Then when you want to rotate this, you just push the button at the back. There's this button that pushes, and when you push that button in, you can rotate this around, and you'll notice there's magnets in there. So this sets up pretty straightforward and just clips into the back. That's clipped in now. And the last part to the unit is this clamping mechanism, and they tell you to put this bit of cardboard, leave it in there so that the rubber grips are resting on paper rather than rubber on themselves. Now, that's the part where the magnets are there, and that just goes straight in here. So you can pull that in and out. And when you push the button at the back, it can rotate. See? Pretty straightforward. This part is magnetic, and it goes up into here. And that's pretty good. Now, this was the knife that we used. So what we need to do is open the jaws up and put this knife, I'll just open the jaws up, I went the wrong way there. There it goes. Put the knife in about halfway. It's about halfway there. Now, it's tightened up. A lot of people complain there's a bit of play in here, but really I can't feel much play in there. That's pretty good to me. Even in here, I can't really feel any play. If there's any play in there, it's that minimal, it wouldn't even be worth worried about. Now, if we look closely, and I'll just take that out, you'll see a graduated scale. And it'll have 15 degrees here, 20, 25 and 30. And over here, they're for the ones that are in between. So you'll go 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Then 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and so forth up to 30. So that works quite well. But the problem with the accuracy of the angle is it all depends on how wide your blade is. Now, I've got a digital angle gauge from Klein, and the more expensive model of this has a digital angle gauge that you can put on there. So I wasn't interested in buying the real expensive one because I've got a digital angle gauge. Now, when I was checking it yesterday, there was a knife and it was about 1.5 inches, something like that there, and the accuracy was pretty spot on. But as the blade reduces, the accuracy drops off a couple of degrees. So we can actually check that. So if we pop that in here, and we'll put it on the 320 grit because that's the first one that we're going to start. And I've got this set, I want to set this for 20 degrees, so we'll wind this down to 20. That's 20 degrees. And if we're to put the digital angle gauge on, it's out by a few degrees. 3 degrees actually, because the width of the knife is very narrow. Now, I notice that at that angle that the stone is nearly touching the clamp. So in that situation, if you've got a really thin blade, what you need to do is bring that blade out a bit more. So we're going to bring that out about there. We'll check the angle again. It actually holds it quite well. You're not supposed to apply a huge amount of pressure. Now that's changed. I've got to make sure I've got the clearance underneath there. I'm just going to drop down so that you can see that. Because we'll just zoom in there. See whether you can see that clearance. There's the clearance underneath there, probably a couple of millimeters. So if you don't have that clearance, I'll just try and get that to zoom in again. I'll try and get that to refocus. Never focuses when you want. There, that's better. So you can see that gap underneath there's about 3 millimeters. So make sure you check that. So that's at about 2 degrees. Wouldn't worry about that. If you're really worried about it, it's 22 degrees. I could drop that down slightly. Down to 20. So it's good to get a digital angle gauge like that. There it is there. See, as I adjust the knob. So if I adjust the knob and just get it on 20 degrees, that's fine. And if you look at the front, you'll see the error. The error, 16th. Look, it's just on 18 degrees here. So it's out by 2 degrees. That's because the blade is very small in width. This is much more suitable for... I'm just checking something here. I need to bring this rubber up because what I want to do is I want to have a look at the distance of travel of the stone, how much it's going to move. I just got to locate that in the hole. There it is. What I mean by that, you've got these rubber stoppers. Just see if we can zoom out. You've got these rubber stoppers here. So as you slide this up and down, I could possibly go up a little bit on this one here. A little bit more travel. And a little bit more. Okay. So that's got a 320 grit stone on it. Now the method of sharpening is holding this. Now you want to count your strokes, because we want to put a burr on that and the burr will be underneath. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to start at this side. That was about 20. Still can't feel a burr, so we'll go again. Still can't feel it. I'm going to have to keep on going, because the other thing is, you don't know what angle this was roughly sharpened at. Look, I was doing it by freehand. It was probably around 17 degrees. So I'm going to have to give this a few more till I can just start to feel a burr. Once I feel a burr, I can flip it over. Now you don't apply a lot of pressure on this. There's no need to apply a lot of pressure at all. Still needs a bit more. Now what you can do is put a bit of texture right on that edge, just to see how far we're away from that edge. And we'll just bring that over here. Okay, so once we've got a burr, we'll work on the other side. Yeah, just starting to feel a burr now. We'll do it a bit more. A burr means that you've reached the edge of the knife, right at the very point, and that is referred to the apex. Look, I can just barely feel a burr there. Barely feel, but I'll still give it a little bit more. Barely feel a burr, so what I'm going to do now is push the button at the back. Tip this over. And continue to do this side. You can see a bit of movement when I'm doing it, but look, I wouldn't stress out about that. Look, doesn't matter what you buy, any mechanical object will have movement. You can compensate for that by changing the angle. And I'm probably going a little bit heavier than I should. So what we'll do now, we'll just have a look at that. And we'll mark that side. Remember, this knife, there was nothing wrong with it, so, but this system here will profile more accurate, I believe, than freehand filing. We'll give it a few more passes before we switch over to the finer stone. The mistakes that you can make by freehand are a lot more than what you'll make on this. Can't really feel a burr. I'll just see if I can feel the edge. I could feel the edge. I just want to put a bit more texture on here, just to make sure how we're travelling with the grinding. I really do expect this to be better than when I was using the stone. So I do have high expectations of this. Seen a lot of videos of other people doing it. Pretty straightforward, really. Right, let's have a look at that. Okay, so we've created a beautiful apex. We had a little bit of a burr. We got rid of the burr. So now it's time to change the stone to 600 grit. That just clicks in a position. And then we need to do the same with the 600. The 600 is going to smooth that out, and what I need to do now is just push that button in. Oh, I've got to push that button. I'll get rid of this. Just a little bit awkward flipping that over, but it's going to be like that with any system that you get. Oh, putting that in the right hole, that's it. I don't want to do too many passes without flipping it over, because I don't want to be getting burrs on it at this stage. Can't feel any burr. The edge of the knife feels really sharp, really does. So. And what I'd be happy in doing is flipping that over again. Now we'll flip that over again. You just got to get used to using this thing. I just dropped that, so just pick that up. Plus I'm working with a camera in front of me, that makes it a little bit difficult. Camera's always in my way. We'll pull that knife out and we'll just have a bit of a check on that. Okay, so we flipped over to the white ceramic. We'll spend a little bit of time doing this because this will polish. And then I've got a leather strop. And the leather strop will definitely push the button. A little bit difficult to push this button sometimes. I think it's just as easy to pull it out, actually. and rotate it. So the ceramic is going to hopefully get rid of those coarse lines and do a little bit of polishing. Yeah, this is just as easy to pull that out like that. You can actually see the metal on the ceramic coming off, so this should be polishing it before we do the strop. We'll have a look at that. Yeah, okay, so what we did was run the ceramic over here. Didn't spend an enormous amount of time because the video is getting quite long. So I ran that over probably for a couple of minutes. Then I used the leather strop. So this is my leather strop. And I just spent another minute or two rubbing it over. I certainly don't have a mirror finish. I have to spend a lot more time with the stones. Now, I did mention before there's a 300 and a 600. Probably if you want a mirror finish, you'd be better off having at least 1,000 or something like that there, at least 1,000, and then maybe go to the ceramic and then finish off with a strop. But the knife feels like it's sharp, really does. But the test is with a piece of paper, so let's just see how good it slices paper. Ooh, shit, that is sharp. Look at that. That is sharp. I'm impressed. Now, the final test will be on my arm. Oh yeah, look at that. Well, I can certainly say that this definitely sharps better than what I can sharp. Look. Unbelievable. That is sharp, people. So, as far as I'm concerned, this wins hands down. I probably spent a little bit more time using this unit than what I did by freehand sharpening. When you can cut paper as much as that and it shaves the hairs as good as what it's... I can't do that as good as freehand. So for the amount of money that this costs, and there was a YouTube video where a guy said that he's had it for about 3 years and he's sharpened hundreds of knives, to me, that is an absolute bargain. Now, the only other thing that I will do in the future, I could get that even sharper if I spend a little bit more time on the ceramic, trying to polish it with the ceramic. So we'll see in the future if I can find a 1,000 grit stone or something like that there, and maybe we'll revisit this in about a year after I've sharpened many, many knives on it. Only one thing to remember. I did talk about the scale, saying that was inaccurate by a couple of degrees. The scale is only inaccurate when you've got small, thin blades like this. What I did find out, that when I done a kitchen knife, the other day, not on this particular one, on a friend's one, because he had one. After I played around with his, I thought, I'm getting one of these. I found out using the digital angle gauge that if the blade was about an inch and a half at least, it was really accurate. As you reduce from an inch and a half, the accuracy drops off by about 2 degrees. And look, it's not going to affect the sharpness dramatically, but you just need to remember that if you're using a knife like this, you might want to write it down on a notepad at what degrees that you sharpened it at. It just means that this was sharpened at around 20 degrees, there's no point me sharpening it at 15 degrees the next time. So I need to keep a note in a notepad and say, hey, set this up on the scale. It was on about 18 degrees on here. About 18 I got it set at. That's, yeah, you can see it there, look. If we go down and have a look, it's below 20. It's about 18 degrees. Because the blade is very, very narrow. And as I said, if that was 30 mil wide, this would have been spot on. It's lucky if that's half the size. That's probably lucky if it's 15 millimeters at about here, at about this point here. So at about 30 millimeters, it'll be accurate. So just bear that in mind. And that's fair enough because the blade width is different, so you have to compensate for that. Anyway, I hope that review helps people out there if you're thinking of getting one of these, because this doesn't get much better than that. That is razor sharp, people. I've never had a knife that sharp ever. So as far as I'm concerned, for what you pay for it and what it does, 10 out of 10. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.